U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson recently issued a thinly veiled threat to the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Essentially, he threatened him with a military coup, mentioning that in Latin American countries, the militaries have been an agent of change, particularly when the government has stopped being an agent working for the people. In the history of Venezuela and South American countries, it is oftentimes that the military is the agent of change when things are so bad and the leadership can no longer serve the people. Of course, those who remember their history remember that the last attempted military coup inside of Venezuela against then-President Chavez didn't go so well, and he managed to return to power once the people of Venezuela took to the streets and demanded his return. Now, on top of that, Tillerson also gave this little piece of information. We have not advocated for regime change or removal of President Maduro. We have advocated that they return to the Constitution. Well, that's a very strange comment considering that's all the United States has done for the past decade or so. And in fact, Rex Tillerson has done that since the first day he walked into office as the Secretary of State. So he's outright lying here. He's done this from day one. In fact, the U.S. has a whole history of overthrowing democratically elected governments inside of Latin America in order to forward their own interests. And it's even laughable to hear that from a guy who was the CEO of ExxonMobil, considering that the main reason for imperialism against Venezuela is the oil in the country. And then to have a guy who is the former CEO of ExxonMobil to say that very thing, it's almost unfathomable to me, like they're not even aware of what it is that they're doing. And then as if that wasn't enough, he went on to make this little snide remark about Venezuela's relationship with Cuba. Then, if the kitchen gets a little too hot for him, I'm sure he's got some friends over in Cuba that could give him a nice hacienda on the beach, and he could have a nice life over there. Well, of course, this makes the insinuation that somehow Cuba is in charge of the situation inside of Venezuela. I mean, this isn't a new accusation. This has been going around that Cuba secretly controls Venezuela through the Bolivarian Revolution. This, of course, is complete utter nonsense, and this is a lie that even some of the most rabid anti-socialists don't actually believe about Venezuela. It's nuts. But it's interesting to know that this veiled threat of a military coup comes, just after this past August when Donald Trump said that a military option against Venezuela was on the table. Essentially just outright saying, yes, the United States is thinking about carrying out a military invasion of Venezuela because, well, they don't carry out our particular interests and we really want their oil. Not that there's a long history of that being a kind of thing that they do. But it's interesting that they raise the specter of military coup and interfering in Venezuela. The U.S. has a very long and bloody history of doing this to just about every single country there is in Latin America at one time or another. Over 10 million people have died as a result of U.S. interference in the region. Guatemala, Argentina, just about every country in the entire continent has been the victim of U.S. aggression and U.S. attempts to overthrow democratically elected governments for once in their favor in their whole history. To even suggest that this was not something that they were going to do is frankly ridiculous, especially considering that he just made the veiled threat to do that very thing. On what level are we supposed to believe that the U.S., that Rex Tillerson, isn't advocating regime change when the entire history of the U.S.'s relationship with Latin America has been nothing but? Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.